Fox News Alert. Right now, bomb threats forcing voters out of at least 2 polling places in New Jersey as residents across the state cast ballots for their next governor. And Mark Meredith is live in Montclair, New Jersey with the latest.
Welcome to Red Pilled Nation, where we celebrate common sense with a daily dose of the truth. The New Jersey gubernatorial contest, a race that has remained razor thin from the outset, is now reaching its climactic finish on Election Day. Predictably, this final push has seen a significant surge in Republican voter turnout, a common trend as GOP voters often favor in-person voting on the day itself. This strong showing is precisely when Republicans aim to build their winning margins. However, the narrative of a simple, hard-fought campaign has been shattered by a wave of coordinated bomb threats targeting polling locations across multiple New Jersey counties. This is a brazen tactic designed to force evacuations, create long delays, and ultimately intimidate voters away from the polls. It is a clear and undeniable act of voter suppression.
Mark, what's going on?
Ainsley, Lawrence, and Brian, good morning, friends. The polls have been open throughout New Jersey since about 6 a.m. Since then, a handful of bomb threats have been called in to a number of polling places across the Garden State. We know in Mercer County, as well as where we have seen in Passaic. It's unclear exactly how many of these polling places have been impacted, but because the polls were open, since they've been open since 6, a number of people who may have been in line or getting ready to go vote had to move off-site to other voting locations, at least temporarily. We've been at this elementary school here, not too far from where some of these threats were called earlier, because this is where the Democratic gubernatorial nominee is going to be voting. Mikey Sherrill should be voting here around 9 a.m. I just spoke to her campaign. They are aware of the situation impacting some of these polling places. The candidate is likely to address this when she gaggles with reporters in the 9 a.m. hour. All an indication, though, again, that there is a lot of people very curious what will happen here in New Jersey. The spotlight has been on this race nationally, and we have seen this before in other elections. But these potential threats, whether or not it's going to have a widespread impact on turnout, it's unclear. More than 1 million people cast their ballots ahead of Election Day. There was early voting, mail-in balloting as well. Where we are also, I've seen at least one police officer who was outside the polling place earlier. Unclear if it was related because the candidate was going to be here or if they were just checking things out. A lot of these threats are often communicated electronically, either email, they get sent to the registrar's office or the voting records office. And then out of an abundance of caution, these facilities are either evacuated or they pause operations to let the police do a sweep. No indications of anything found at this point, simply threats. But on an election day like this, given, of course, the political climate that we are in as a country right now, officials across New Jersey are not going to be taking this lightly. And I'll let you know if we hear from the Citarelli campaign. He was with Fox and Friends in the last hour at a restaurant, so we know he's been out on the trail as well. These candidates have plenty of security. It's interesting to see personally, because when we go out to these events, before, back in the day when you were an unelected governor, you would just go out as a candidate, go out and shake hands. And now at these high-profile events where there's media, where there's a lot of public notice, we do see a lot of security. And as I mentioned, we've even seen security at this polling place right here behind me. Friends, back to you.
Now, Mark, real quickly, and I know this is a fluid situation, are we talking about multiple threats from the same source, or are these multiple different areas of threats?
I know there was a high school in Trenton. I believe there was another polling place in Mercer County. But whether or not it was the same person or persons, we don't know. And obviously that's all part of the investigation that New Jersey officials will have to carry out. But obviously the immediate need was making sure that these polling places, Lawrence, could get back open. I'm just turning around here to see I've got 3 guys that are right out front of this polling place, not a line. They haven't seen anything dramatic, at least at this particular facility. But if an email just goes out to a county official, I would imagine they have to do their due diligence.
I wonder if it's someone that's trying to prevent voters from voting for a certain person. Trenton and Mercer County, are those Republican or Democratic areas?
I wish I had studied my New Jersey geography a little bit better off the top of my head for you, Ainsley. But I also know that Passaic County says that they were aware of the situation, that they were rerouting those voters to other locations, and that they were also aware that this was happening in other places. So I don't have an indication that it was to target one specific leaning area, but I will say that this is something that's happening in more than just one polling location.
It's not on you. If you this election in New Jersey has changed so much. So what was once red could be blue or purple. So we'll just be looking back anyway.
Point.
Yeah,
Great
thanks,
job
Mark.
out there.
In a state like New Jersey, often labeled a blue wave stronghold, the sheer desperation behind such dirty tactics is astounding. Why resort to calling in threats like a bunch of cowards to shut down polling places in predominantly Republican-leaning counties on the very day those voters are most likely to show up? The implication that this is anything but an intentional effort to suppress the Republican vote, especially in a race where an upset is possible, strains credulity. The New Jersey incident is unfortunately not an isolated event. Bomb threats targeting election-related sites have been a recurring theme, particularly around national election cycles. In the 2024 presidential election, multiple bomb threats targeted polling locations, election offices, and tabulation centers across the country were made on and immediately following Election Day. These incidents, which included hoax calls and devices on drop boxes, primarily occurred in battleground states like Georgia, Pennsylvania, Arizona, Michigan, and Wisconsin. To those in New Jersey, do not be intimidated. They want you to leave. They want you to stay home. Understand their objective and stand your ground. If you like our content, please give this video a like, a share, and also make sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell. Your support sure does mean a lot.